And that becomes hard partly because of the inability to say no.
Wow.
We tend to want to please the people. And the people have their own agenda. Yes. And rightly so, you are there to minister to them. But the moment you will say yes to everything,
every request,
first you will be ineffective because you will not be able to do everything very well.
Because of the other point of focus.
Yes.
That you talked about.
So you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing the other, you're doing that, but you're not focusing on anything.
Yes.
You're using a lot of time, but you are also doing it alone. So if you make family priority, you will need to give it time.
Yeah.
If you're going to lead your family well, you're going to give it time. 2 years ago, I think 3 years ago, 2 of my daughters said to me, they said, "Daddy, we would want to take you out." And I thought, yes, that's good. And I asked them, "So do you have something you want to share with me or what?" They said, "No, we want to take you out. Just take you out." So I put the day in my diary. Yes. Because if I don't do it, then I will not have it. Then they took me, we went with them at Gaba, we bought fish, we sat there, and I was there all the time waiting to see what they want to say to me. So then they looked at me and they laughed.
Yes.
And they said, "It seems you're wondering what we about.
Yes.
What we want to say to you." I said, "Of course." They said, "We really don't have anything to say. We just want to be with you." So that is one of the things for us clergy to be able to know that it is a priority.
Yes.
And to create time for it.
Regardless of the busy schedule of the church activities.
Yes.
And by the way, you've said something critical here. As believers, for us, we can really tear you apart.
I know.
Because in the morning, at 8, I am at my office. I do my work up to 5. Then by 5:30, it's when I am coming to church, maybe for a fellowship, to check on the pastor, to ask for prayer, and so on and so forth. So, and you know that time is maybe when your own family members have also come back home. If some of the children are in a day school, they have just returned in the evening from home. Your wife has been doing a number of things. She's now at home. But at that time is when we need you at church, we the Christians.
That's true.
And if that happens Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, up to Sunday, January to December, see how we destroy your family, thinking we are looking for ministry opportunities.
Yeah, but the other thing has also been to make sure that the family knows the identity of the family. That we are Christians, we are born again. The values for this family are Christian values. We can discuss everything, but nothing. We cannot do anything as a family outside the Christian values, because that's the identity of this family.
Yes.
So that needs to be clear to the family, but also it needs to be clear by us modeling it.
Yes, not just talking about it.
Not just talking about it. Because children and the other people who stay in our family, they really want to see that. When they announced that I've been appointed a bishop, one of the young people who is always around me, he said that, "So what is it that is going to change in this family?" I said, "The foundation is already laid. It is still Christian values."
Yes.
That is the basis for it. That's what we are. That's what we need to mentor. Although I need to add something here, that sometimes we when it comes to children, we bring Christianity, we bring the faith to them, that they may actually end up making it repulsing to them.
Oh, it's like we push faith down their throat.
We push faith down their throat. My father and mother, I told you my father was a lay reader.
Yes.
And we loved it, the way we had to pray, everything. But it felt like it's a prison. That when I left home to go and stay in the city alone, without them alone, it felt like I've gone out of prison.
Like the bird had gone out of the cage.
Of the cage.
It's now time for freedom.
Time for freedom. So in a way, as we try to inspire them, to encourage them, we need to know that they need to own it. That whether they are with us or they are not with us, they still can walk the same way.
Yeah.
Our two girls now at university, we're not with them. But because they have been reading the word and whatnot, they will still read the word.
Yeah.
They will talk to you and they will tell you, oh, this morning I read this.
Yeah. Because they have a personal relationship.
Because they have a personal relationship with God. So that's also key in our leadership of the family.
So the male clergy, the challenges they meet in leading their families, one is not knowing that family is actually a priority.
Yeah.
Number two is inability to say no to the demands of the Christians that will come against their time of the family.
That's true.
Number three is not giving time to their families. And then not clarifying the Christian identity of the family and modeling it.
Yeah, the family ends up being like it's like any other family. And it's not. It's not. My children again asked me, you know, they hear from people, now you're going to be a bishop, you're not going to the market to buy things, blah, blah, blah. You'll have a driver. So they asked me, so will you be taking us back to school and taking us for shopping the way you've been doing?
You see, that's what they are concerned about.
Yes. And I said, no, I won't be taking you, I'll be sending the driver. They said, no, the driver is not our father.
Oh, yes.
So I told them, I remain your father.
Yes.
Yes, there will be limitations. I may not have time for sometimes, but I will make sure I am there for you.
Yeah.
That you enjoy me as a father, that we walk together, that we do life together.
So that they don't resent the church that has, taken your time and somehow changed their father in a way.
That's true. Very true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that leads me to curiously ask, how have you personally managed to balance the demands of leadership and your family over the years?
I have actually said one of them, but the number one thing is, again, prioritizing things.
Yes.
There are things which we do which other people can do.
That is worth repeating, that statement.
Because we end up feeling as if, because I'm the vicar here, because it is like you have to do everything.
Yeah.
I know a vicar who was in a place with 3 other clergy, but he would lead the service and also preach and what, and the other people were just redundant there. Wow. So for me, actually,
that's suicide.
The number one thing is, for me, I've known family is priority, but I've been able to build, to equip the saints for ministry. To equip the saints for ministry. Again, let me go back to Uganda Christian University. If you're a chaplain and you are going to do every deliverance, and you're going to counsel every student,
pray for everyone,
and you're going to pray for everyone, my friend,
preach every Sunday.
To preach every Sunday, it's not going to work. But it is this sense of knowing that I am not indispensable. God has given people different gifts. Identify those people, equip those people, and be able to release ministry to people.
Yeah.
That will lessen your burden, and you will create time for other things. By the way, the ministry will even be more effective, because there are areas where you are not gifted. and Bakutana is gifted.
Oh yes.
So rather than me speaking, although I'm the vicar, why don't I allow Bakutana to speak? And after all, after the message has gone very well and everything, it is the vicar doing the work.
Of course. They appreciate the vicar for the
very good.
for the good speaker brought today.
Sometimes my clergy identify other preachers, and then they come and preach.
Yes.
But the Christians will say, thank you for bringing that money for us.
Thank you, vicar. Yes.
Thank you, vicar.
Yes.
So that for me is a key thing.
And I think that also indicates that the people we are leading don't expect us to be the ones to do everything. That's why when we bring others on board to do some things, the people we lead appreciate us as if we are the ones doing the work, because they also believe we should do the work through other people.
Yeah, so you are mentoring those people. But as you lessen the things you are doing, you're also creating time for the family. As you delegate work, you're creating time for the family. But also being deliberate.
Yes.
It's sometimes being deliberate. When I was at All Saints, there was a gentleman, very prominent gentleman. He wanted me to do something on a certain day. And I told him I'm not available. Because there are 8 other clergy here. They will be able to do it.
Yes.
And he said, no, it is you I want to do. I said, then you know what? Can we change
we will have
the
to
date?
reschedule.
We can reschedule and have another date. He said, yeah, we rather schedule. So he made up his mind. He said, I want you to do it. And he changed the date. Now, on that specific day, he wanted me to do something. He met me somewhere. I was there with my wife and my children. And then he asked me, what happened on the appointment you had this day? I wasn't even remembering that about the thing. I said, which appointment? Then he reminded me.
Yes.
I said, oh, nothing happened.
Yes.
He said you were busy, you're not available that day. You had a program.
Yes.
So I told him, this is the program.
Don't you see the program? I'm here with my wife and children.
This is the program.
Yes.
And he walked away very angry about it. But I met him after some time. And he said to me, Canon Baalwa, let me tell you what happened. I went home. I was very angry with you.
Yes.
I told my wife the story, and I told her I'm very angry with this clergyman. And my wife said to me that rather than being angry, you should learn the lesson.
Ooh, that was a bomb.
And he said to me, listen to me, this weekend,
yes,
I was with my children and my wife.
Wow.
And my children said, we should do this more frequent. So although I was angry, I learned the lesson.
Yes, yes.
So sometimes it is deliberate.
Being intentional.
Guarding that time.
Yes.
Because the things that want to take it are so many.
Wow.
There's so many things. So that has been very useful for me.
Prioritizing the family. Equipping saints for the ministry. Releasing the ministry to people by delegating them, but also being deliberate and intentional on some specific programs that are important to you.
That's very true.
Yes.
Very true.
Wow. Now that you talk about children, as a father, could you share with us if there are some things that you've been so intentional about regarding parenting those wonderful 3 biological and 2 adopted children you've talked about? Are there some specific things that you have been intentional about as a father concerning parenting your children?
I think one of the things is taking each child the way she or he is. The knowing that children are not the same.
Approaching children
understanding them as individuals. Because sometimes we want children to be the same. They come, they have not performed well. We want child X to perform like child Y and what not. Just to take each individual that way. Being conscious of that we don't say or do things that make others feel that they are not as good. These days there's a lot of competition in education.
A lot.
So one child may think because I don't perform the way the other one performs, then maybe I'm not child enough.
Yeah.
To tell them that you are accepted the way you are and you can be the way you are, and we really appreciate you as parents. That has been key. The other thing is the whole thing to make them understand that home is home. When things are good, home is there for you. When things are bad, home is there for you. When you've lived as a Christian, we rejoice and celebrate you, and we are grateful to you. But just in case you fail and you've gone off, that is a sad thing for us. But you still our child.
You belong here.
You still can come home.
East to west, home is best.
Home is best. And that has helped in being open, making them open to us. I remember there's one of our adopted daughters, she's now married. Even at secondary level university, she would come and share with me the relationship things with the boys. Say, you know that boy there, can you imagine that he's also interested in me? What? But you know, that would be an opportunity for us, for me, to have an input into her life.
Yes. To give guidance.
On those matters, to be able to know what is happening and to be able to guide. The other key things that have been there for us, I've mentioned a bit of them for even in the earlier thing. It's about having time together, of fellowship, of prayer, of sharing, of encouraging one another, trying to find out their focus and have an input in them, in their life, that they are able to, knowing the company, exposing them to family, friends who we think have an input that they can visit, they can be able to get encouraged. Knowing their friends again, we encourage them to know. One of the girls, there is a girl who, because maybe of her course, she's always asking all sorts of questions. Why are you asking this? Why are you interested in this? Why? Say, but I'm your father. I am interested in your future. I am supposed to have an input in your destiny. And all those things.
Yes, that's why God downloaded you onto earth through me.
Yes. So those things have really helped. But also there is another side of drawing boundaries.
Yes.
Sometimes I think the way the world has come to be, it is as if we think that children will just grow on their own. We assume they will learn everything.
Yes.
There are lots of ways that are teaching them all sorts of things.
That's true.
Including the phone.
True. Oh yeah, the phone, the TV, the newspapers, the friends.
Yeah. But you see, they have also come to know that we're interested in that. That day I told you when they said they want me to be out with them.
Yes.
They asked me a question. Are you, because I had missed having a bit of time with them, for they were used to it, now they are not receiving it for some time. So they asked me, now do you know our new friends? And I said, because I don't know.
Yes.
So update me. Said, you should know, you told us you needed to know, now you don't know. Then we began a conversation on that.
Wow.
But they still could know the boundaries there. And again, them knowing that we are interested in their life, we're willing to listen to them. Sometimes many children struggle because the adults, the parents, the clergy, we don't have time for them.
But you have time for us.
Even when we have time, we're not willing to listen to them. To know what they are going through.
Yeah, this has been said over and over again, that many clergy have time for everyone else apart from their own children, apart from their own family. There is a gentleman called Max Lucado, probably you could have heard about him. He's written books, having theological conversations, etc. In one of his books, he talked about a pastor, certain pastor who passed on. So on the day of sending him off, on the day of the burial, so many people came. He was a very famous man. And they gave speech after speech after speech after speech. Somebody comes up and says, if it wasn't for this, our senior brother who has gone to be with the Lord forever, I would not be what I am today. Another one comes and says, he's the one who brought me into the city. Another one comes and says, my second degree was because he pushed me and created an opportunity for me. They talked about the man. They finished. Everybody dispersed. Everyone went home. When his children reached at home with the mom,
they said, who are they talking about?
No, the person they were eulogizing.
Who was it they were talking about?
These things they were saying, they know the person they were eulogizing.
That's true.
And their mom said, my children, actually it is true. Everything they said about your dad was true. Your dad was a great pastor. He was only a bad husband and a bad father.
Oh my goodness. That's true.
Tough.
But Sam, let me say this to you also. Sometimes when we are thinking about time, we are only thinking about that time when you go out with them. But I can tell you, it can even be quality time. I see my girls, even when I'm just driving them back to school. I mean, sometimes you are going to drive a lot of time in the car.
Oh yes, 3 hours or what?
3 hours. No? You can even talk about things during that time.
That's true.
And I have come to learn that they learn more in the environment which is more, which is not like it's set.
A relaxed informal environment.
Informal environment.
Yes, not planned before.
Informal environment. And I've come to utilize that a lot.
I think they are like men. I'm told men, when a woman comes and says, darling, I think we need to talk, a man is frightened. Because now that sounds so formal.
That's true.
Yeah. So children want a relaxed, informal environment.
Yeah.
Wow. These are wonderful things to think about. Approaching children as different individuals, each child as a different person, letting them know that home is home and it is always there for them, whether things are good or things are bad, having time with them, exposing them to good family friends, knowing their friends, drawing boundaries, and so on and so forth. Amazing. Amazing. A lot of things to think about.
Very true.
A lot of things to think about. And now, by God's grace, this is a new season for your life. You are now into the Episcopal office, as a bishop. And I have had a wonderful opportunity of being with bishops, many of them, all of them in the Church of Uganda and beyond the Church of Uganda. For quite some years, I've spoken in the House of Bishops, I've spoken in some of their fellowships, the regional fellowships, and many of them are personal friends. One thing I have come to observe is that whereas a pastor is busy as a vicar, as a priest, when this office of the bishop is extended to him, it is a whole new world altogether.
It is.
There are new programs, there are meetings of the House of Bishops, there are meetings of which council somewhere abroad, the meeting partners in different cities. It is radically different.
It is.
So what is going on in my mind right now is, well, you are a family leader, you are a church leader, you've had this journey of 41 years of leadership, but now that you are a bishop, how will you practically ensure that this new office does not negatively impact the other office of the husband and the office of the father? Because this new office of the bishop comes with its own new activities, a lot of schedules, business meetings, and so on and so forth. How are you going to ensure that this new assignment does not negatively impact on the other noble office of the husband and father?
Yeah.
Have you given it thought?
I have. Sam, I would say to you that being a bishop from a distance is very challenging. I can say to you genuinely that I've always wondered for people who fight for it. For me, I get into it with fear and trembling.
I hear you.
If it is not for the confidence in the Lord, who has called and is faithful.
Yes.
Because it has many new areas which are even outside the church.
It does.
Even so areas of politics, things you don't think about.
Civic leadership, people, community
everybody
things.
Wants it. But I can say to you amazingly that some of the principles I've had will remain the key principles here. Take, for example, I told you about not trying to do everything.
Alone yourself.
Alone yourself.
Yes.
I think it was retired Archbishop Luke Orombi. He said sometime, he said to me, he said, Frederick, why would I as a bishop go on baptizing children? Being a bishop has brought so many new areas of ministry.
Yes, you operate at a strategic level, not at an operational level anymore.
That is it. So there's a lot to do with the thinking, there's a lot to do with the policies, there's a lot to do with the envisioning, there's a lot to do with the supervision. And I think for me, the number one thing, if you operate from that level, again, you will create some time. If you keep on doing all the things you have been doing, and you add all of these things, it is going to be the situation you are talking about. You will not have time totally. That is one thing. So
the office of the husband and the father will suffer.
It will suffer. I mean, by people just hearing that I was appointed.
Yes.
People already booked me to do weddings.
You see? They want a bishop
to wed them. To wed them.
My friend, let me tell you, that thing happens at every level.
Yes.
You see, 2 years ago, I was graciously made the provincial president of the Fathers Union.
Very true.
You can't believe that I started to get calls from some people who would call me and say, can you please talk on my behalf with the Archbishop so that I can get a scholarship for my child at Woodlawn? And I said, you people.
Exactly. So I think that is something I feel like I need to plan even better than before, and in the plan to have family on the plan.
Yes.
I may need more and more to spend more time even than before. One of the things that I thank God for is my wife. She's a very prayerful person.
Mama Esther Ruth.
Mama Esther Ruth.
Baalwa.
So if there was nothing to draw me, at least I would need to spend time with her to pray. But as you pray, you will share things.
Of course.
Of course, not everything, but you will share things for prayer,
critical things,
for encouragement, for what. And so I went to visit. Not to visit, when I went for my retreat, my retreat leader said something that I came back thinking, as much as possible, I will try to do that. He's a bishop. He's a very busy bishop. Bishop Alfred Baalwa, professor.
Professor, yes.
He has global things. He has international engagements. But he told me that wherever he is in Lango, he spends Monday with Susan. Remember, you told me before this program began that you plan everything around being here every Thursday.
Every Saturday.
Every Saturday. Professor said, I plan everything with the mind of being here
every
Monday.
Yes.
And during the retreat, he wanted us to test that. So on Monday, we went with him to the house. They go to their house, they stay there, they pray, they share. And I said, it is possible even when you are a bishop to do it.
It is.
True, there are times
when it's a matter of priority.
Yeah, there are times when it doesn't happen, but at least there is something in place.
As often as possible.
As often as possible.
I hear you.
Yeah.
And from my heart of hearts, we'll keep praying for you.
Thank you.
Because we know that this new assignment requires a lot of, readjustment of different priorities here and there. But I pray that some of these critical ones will not, suffer under new assignments that come on board. The office of the father, the office of the husband, to mention but a few. We just have about 5 minutes to the end of this conversation.
Okay. It goes very fast.
It really does. It really does.
Okay.
Something is going on in my mind concerning a certain category of fellow men that we meet here and there. I've had the opportunity of moving around the whole of this province. I've so far been in about 26 dioceses doing ministry here and there.
Done well.
By God's grace. There is a category of people I've been finding in those different dioceses that I think we need to give more attention to. And these are the husbands of female clergy.
Yeah, very true.
The husbands of female clergy. One time I was leading an ordination retreat in one of the dioceses, and on a Friday evening we put the clergy in different groups. So the DS was leading that activity. He said, let's have the male clergy this side. They went there. Let's now have the female clergy this side. And then he said, finally, let's have the wives of clergy this side. So they went there. Then I quickly said, DS, how about the husbands of clergy? He said, yeah. Okay, let them go outside there on the veranda under the tree. And in my heart, I felt like I should spend my time with that group. So I left these other 3 groups. I went outside and spent 2 hours with 8 men who were the husbands of female clergy.
That's true.
Bishop, the things that were shared in that group, there is a way they re-envisioned me about that category of people. And I've been looking out for them now ever since that was about 9-10 years ago. And I still see it is a category of men in our church that probably we may want to think about a little bit more.
That's true.
And therefore, as we almost come to the close of this conversation, what should the husbands of the female clergy, specifically in the days of Kampala, expect from your time as bishop?
Okay, let me first begin by saying, given the language, we have not adjusted to knowing they are there. Even when we plan for sitting, or even when we are dressing, we say the clergy and their wives. Probably beginning to think using spouses rather than wives. Because I had something in a meeting where somebody whispered to me and said, now we have become the wives of our wives.
Oh dear.
Because, but I think the first thing is that we need, I'll begin by having a meeting with them.
Okay.
Because sometimes we don't know what they are going through.
That's true.
You saw originally Bishop Tucker, when they were training clergy, they would have the spouses there. Can you imagine for 3 years, they would be training the other one, but also training these people. So the
which makes a lot of sense.
Yes, which means that there is need for training and sensitization. Because you see, there are feelings we even don't know about. There are those things they also find themselves into. All of a sudden, he has the wife is there, the man is the man. But now, because the woman is the clergy, it is like the woman is up, and for him is the one there to carry the bag for the wife.
And even some of them, by the way, Bishop, some of those female clergy, they forget that they are priests only at church.
That's true.
When they come home, they also want to be the priests of the home. And it causes a challenge.
So there is a need for orientation, there is a need for training, there is a need for strengthening their fellowship. Because the women clergy, the wives of the clergy, sometimes have fellowship.
They do.
And so if the men
they even have the identification, the uniform.
So these men also need something that you can walk with them and maybe meet them periodically to think through issues. But it's true, it needs attention.
All right.
But I also think it will be something, because as you heard me on the consecration, the whole idea of discipling pastors and mentorship is going to take me to families, and probably that will give me time also with these brothers.
Looking forward, we on behalf of the Fathers Union, we will be on standby to support you in that ministry.
Thank you.
So finally, all is said and done. You've ministered, you've been a bishop for a number of years, even retirement has come, and so on and so forth. Many years down the road from now, what would you want this world to remember you for?
I think the thing I would want to be remembered for is the whole thing of discipleship for transformation of individuals and communities. The church, not only here in Kampala, we've not focused on that area. The command of Jesus was for us to make disciples. Because people are not mature in their faith. The challenges are too many. They cannot utilize their gifts. They cannot identify their gifts. They cannot be accountable to people. They cannot be able to grow and serve the Lord. They cannot be able to live a life out there of their faith. So I believe for me that discipleship is the key, even for the church growth, both in quality and in numbers. And so discipleship for church growth will be key, but it is discipleship for transformation that will give us growth in the church, that will give us new leaders to use, that will give us people out there to stand with the church. Even a thing like a giving. People, until they know the Lord, they have a relationship, they have grown into Him, they will not give you money.
Even if you somersault 20 times.
We've gone through making all sorts of tricks. That period is gone. People need now just to be having a deeper relationship. They live in
solid
a city.
Understanding.
They live in a city where there are many cults, many teachings, many challenges. They need to learn to pray. They need to learn to proclaim all sorts of things. For me, the key is discipleship. For the transformation of the individuals and communities.
I hear you. Wow. It's been a pleasure having this conversation with you, Bishop Frederick Jackson Baalwa, the husband of Mama Esther Ruth Baalwa. Thank you so much for creating time. We wish you well in your new assignment, in your new kingdom deployment in the Episcopal office in the Diocese of Kampala. We'll continue to pray for you and the teams you'll be working with, so that as you build relationships, as you cast the vision, and as you build the teams, all of this will come together beautifully and swiftly to build the kingdom of God. I want to believe that you have been equipped and empowered as you listen to the journey of leadership of Bishop Frederick Baalwa, the 5th Assistant Bishop of the Diocese of Kampala. And specifically you, my brothers, fellow men, I want to believe that you picked a number of very important nuggets that can equip you, empower you, inspire you, enable you, help you, tool you, resource you to lead your family well. By and large, what I am hearing here is it all begins at home. No wonder John C. Maxwell, the author of the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, says, if your leadership fails at home, don't export it anywhere else. Let's go home and love our wives. Let's go home and parent our children. Then from that strong basement rock of good family leadership, we can go out there and lead the Church of Christ, and lead our business organizations, and lead NGOs, and be politicians in government, and be head teachers in schools, and be presenters in the media, and be wonderful leaders in the celebration industry, where we have arts, culture, sports, entertainment, to mention but a few. This has been the Inspired Family Leader Program with Samuel A. Bakutana, your host. Until next time, live exemplarily, love authentically, and lead.